Today I have a small data set. I'd like to analyse this data so that I can count up the different coloured items. We can use pivot tables to analyse our data, but before we can use pivot tables in this instance we need to arrange our data into a pivot table friendly structure, and that's the purpose of this video tutorial, to change this data set into a pivot table friendly structured data set. So to do that, if I put in some new column headings over here, item number, item and color, I can start rearranging this data set into the pivot table friendly structure. By that, what I mean is, if you look here on row 2, we have 3 different items in that row: red shoes, green shirts and blue trousers. To work with pivot tables, we need to have just a single item or just a single record per row. So to show what I mean, if we have clearly labelled item 1, let's take this red pair of shoes, make a copy of that, and we know that they're shoes. So there we have a single row and a single item or record within that row. So if I just speed things up a little bit, do some copying and pasting, there's all our different shoes in a separate row, and I'll carry that on. I suppose another general rule of thumb is to build your data lengthways downwards rather than widthways across. So long lists rather than wide lists would be a general rule of thumb. Carry that on for the trousers. I'll just put borders on all of that just to make it tidy. So there we have our data originally structured this way. Pivot table friendly is a single item per row. So here's our new rearranged data set, and I can now turn this into, or analyze this using pivot tables. So just an example might be colours along the row labels, your items as column labels, and we might want to take each item number, so item 1, item 2, item 3, and instead of sum those item numbers, count those items to get how many red items, how many blue items and how many green items. So if I go to the value field settings and choose count, I've now analysed my data using a pivot table. But before I could do that, in summary, we need to structure our data effectively, and we need to change our data from multiple items per row into a single item per row structure.